Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Today is Friday. Today is Friday. Ooh, and it's a beautiful day outside. It's not raining. The sun is shining. It's a little warm, and we're not complaining. But we're really glad that you're here with us today on this platform, acknowledged as Project 365, where we have the pleasure, opportunity, the assignment to render hope, encouragement, and inspiration all around the world. I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life Incorporated, where we do have the great pleasure to render hope, encouragement, and inspiration all around the world. So we're so glad about it. Let me take this opportunity to bring in our co-host.
I was getting ready to say good morning. Hello, everyone. I am Takara Swan. I am so happy to be here with you on this beautiful Friday. It is Friday. You've made it through the work week for most people, and you did it. That's a big accomplishment right there. Before we bring on our guest, I just want to remind all of you, if you have not done so already, to please go to our YouTube page, like, share, subscribe, and help us bring hope, encouragement, and inspiration to every single person in the entire world.
Gets me so excited when we talk about doing it around the world. It's amazing how God makes things happen and he causes things to manifest. So we just go with the flow. So I'm glad about it. Well, today we have the opportunity and the privilege to welcome Claudette Freeman to our platform, where she's going to share information about the power of finding and writing your story, even if it's just for you. But there is power in it. When you find what you need to write about, what you will be able to express about yourself, and then the power to do it. And once it's done, that's liberating. That's so very liberating. And I know many of us have a story within and we want to write about it. Well, she's the guru to talk to us about it, to get it done, to pull it out of you. So let's hear about the power of finding and writing your story. Thank you, Claudette, for joining us and accepting our invitation to come today. We appreciate it. And we thank you so very much. While you are in the state of Florida, enjoying that weather there, thank God we can say that we're enjoying the weather here as well. Finally, we can say that. But really, thank you so very much for coming and sharing, and just bring that hope, encouragement, and inspiration to let us know how we can make it happen on our terms.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to do my best to do that. Thank you so much, Portia and Takira. I appreciate it. I'm going to open the day and tell you a little story. Some years ago, I was working for a company and I'd made a business decision that I knew that I believed would be a wonderful marketing decision and marketing opportunity for the company. Unfortunately, the team didn't agree with me, and so the team didn't support that decision, and it ended up costing the company some money, not a large amount of money, but it still cost the company some money. And clearly that was not pleasing to my boss. And I discovered that while I was sitting in a book club meeting, having a wonderful time. When I left that book club meeting, I checked my voicemails, as I often did, because my boys were at home, and so they knew they had to check in with me. So I checked my voicemail, and there were a series of just horrible messages on my voicemail, to the point that by the time I got home, I was so upset that I pulled into a Burger King parking lot, because I said, you know what, there's been too many days of this. I'm not going home to my boys in tears yet again. Right. So I sat in the Burger King parking lot and I tried to compose myself, and I called one of the other managers and I said to her, you know, I just can't do this anymore. I really just can't do this anymore. And I learned later that she thought I perhaps was suicidal, and I wasn't. I meant I couldn't do the work anymore. But she suggested I take a couple of days off and just kind of really take a moment and think about things. And so I did that. I got up the next morning, and for whatever reason, I was led to pull out a bunch of journals and different things that I had written over the years. And can I tell you, it was almost as if God took words that I had written 5 years prior, stories that I had started a year earlier or 2 years earlier. And it's almost like he poured it into me like wonderful medicine, right? And there were words that I had written that in that moment said, this is okay. Your spirit is not tarnished. Your soul will be well. This, you can learn from this. And so what I discovered for me and what I teach people as often as I can is there are words that are sitting in you that may have poured out in a text message, in a social media post, in a card that you bought for yourself and wrote to yourself, or a card that you bought for somebody else and just never mailed it, that have words that can absolutely speak to you and open up things in you that you didn't even know were there, right? And so the words that are sitting in you are often words or phrases that show up very often. And they're little things that we think, oh, it's just something I say all the time. Or we notice it and we say, well, why does that keep showing up? Why does that keep showing up? Why do I keep writing these words, right? Why do I keep writing, learn to live in strife and grace instead of strife? Why is the word heal popping up at me? Everything is showing up, heal, heal, heal. Well, because those words are popping up because there's something in you that word is calling forth. It's kind of like that Mary and Elizabeth thing, right? So the word is calling to the word in you, right? And so I think the reason that I'm telling you this is because you have to be mindful and you have to pay attention to your words, right? People always ask me, well, where do I get started? How do I know where the first thing should come from? And one of the things I always tell people, if you're a journaler, your story's already begun. It's just in journal format, right? And if you're struggling with your healing, or if you're struggling with your position or with your purpose or with what season you're in, those words are right there in the recesses of your mind and in the recesses of your spirit and your soul. You just have to sit still long enough and invite them to come, right? And give them permission to come the way they want to come. A lot of times when we're writing, we have the mindset that when the words start to come, we have to immediately put them in a formal sentence or put them in a formal paragraph. And can I tell you, a lot of times in the writing process, it just does not happen that way. It does not happen that way. What you may get is a phrase over here and a phrase over here and a couple of sentences here and there. And then you take the time and you pull them all together. But there are absolutely words in you that need to come to mind. And so how else do you begin the writing process? You start by not focusing on where you start. What happens is we sit down and we say, okay, I'm going to write. I've got my notebook, and that's something that you should always keep handy. Okay, maybe not to the extreme that I do. You probably don't need like 7 notebooks and 2 in your purse, or maybe you do, but always keep a notebook handy. And I say a notebook, and you can take notes in your phone, but what I find is when I'm working with writers, the moment they pull out their phone, they do the notes, or they start the notes, but then they start something else. It's very easy to stop doing notes and go check social media or make a phone call or something. So I'm telling you, when it comes to writing, I'm an old school girl. Post-it notes are a beautiful thing. Post-it notes can be your best friend when it comes to writing, and notebooks, so that you capture your thoughts. But don't get fixated on where you're going to start or how you're going to start, or, do you need to start in Microsoft Word? Or do I need to start in Note? Or do I need to start in Evernote? Or do I need to open a doc in Google Docs? Or just open something, pull out a notebook, and here are great places where you can start without doing anything in any formal manner, right? Write down your experiences. And the experiences don't have to be chronologically. close your eyes, right? Take some deep breaths. Start to focus on what you set the intent and the focus of your book to be about. Clear your mind, invite the experiences to come, and then write down the experiences. Write down the experiences. And as you're writing down the experiences, write down the emotion that you felt around the experiences. Whatever that emotion was, it could have been anger, it may have been rage, it may have been, this amazing feeling of warmth and love. It may have been trauma, it may have been fear. Write down the experiences that came with the emotions that came with those experiences, right? And now do something like write down the lessons that you've learned from those experiences. What did you learn? Was it a lesson on applying patience? Was it a lesson on forgiveness? Was it a lesson on learning to love yourself? And in those lessons learned, jot down what kind of strategies you were able to pull together. Write down what kind of tools you used, you employed in the lessons learned. And then write down what you can teach based on your experiences. What can you teach based on your experiences? What kind of wisdom and what kind of knowledge and what kind of transparent and vulnerable truth can you share from your experiences? And then here's the thing where people often kind of get a little stuck. Who were the people involved in your experiences, right? And if those experiences were very traumatic or emotionally and mentally painful, maybe they were something around incest or rape or domestic or intimate partner violence or something, it's very difficult. And one of the things I'm always asked is, well, do I have to say their name? I'm never going to tell you have to say somebody's name, but what I will say is the moment somebody introduced something traumatic in your life, they put themselves in your story, right? And so because they put themselves in your story, then they simply are part of it. Now, having said that, you can change a name. You can simply use a description. But it's critical that the people who were involved in your experiences, either from the painful side or the healing side, are part of what you jot down, right? And then the other place you can start is to write down who you're writing this book for and what you think they can gain from your experiences. Because you want to be aware of what their pain is, of what their needs is, of what kind of medicine you can prepare in your words for them, right? And believe it or not, just like that, you started writing your book because now you've got everything that you need to create your book. So now you've got the shell, and now you begin to fill out the experiences. You begin to, fully give descriptions of places and occurrences. You begin to fully, it's kind of like cooking, right? It's when you're cooking and you're in the kitchen, you pull out all of your ingredients for the recipe, right? And so once you've got all of your ingredients out, you put the flour, you sift the flour, put it in the bowl. You're going to break the eggs one at a time, and put them in there. You're going to put your your room temperature butter, in there. And so you're going to meld all of your ingredients together in a very systematic way so that the recipe is smoothed out and it's ready to go into the oven, right? And writing is very much the same way. So you're going to take your experiences and your emotions, you're going to meld them in with the lessons that you've learned. You're going to teach what you can teach and share the wisdom that you can share. And you're going to talk about the people who were involved in these experiences in such a way that when you put it in front of the person that you're writing this book for, they absolutely get it, right? They absolutely get it. And so why is it important for you to do that, right? You're saying, okay, that's beautiful. That's a wonderful thing, Claudette. Why is that important for me to do that? Well, it's important because your words have healing power. Your words have healing power, right? And I believe, and some people disagree with this, I believe that's true whether you're writing nonfiction or whether you're writing fiction, even if you're writing plays or you're writing a movie script, your words have power, right? You can create a character based on you or based on someone in your life who impacted you greatly. And you can build that whole novel around the very things that we just talked about, the experiences, the emotions, the lessons learned, the what can you teach, and you do it through these wonderful characters, right? And the thing for me about characters is that you can allow these characters to say things that perhaps you never got the opportunity to say in a situation. And when you allow these characters to have the voice that you never had, you see yourself in them, you hear your voice in them, and it gives you a moment to say, I've got it out. It's not sitting there anymore, right? I got it out. I got it out. And so I absolutely believe that you can gain that healing, you can gain that liberation, whether you're writing a Christian living book, or even if you're writing an urban fiction novel. You can get that healing if your intention is set for that. You have to make sure your intention in whatever you write is set to do something powerful and not to be reality TV in paper form, right? And then I think the other thing, especially as people of faith, that we have to remember is that our stories are a continuation of the testaments in the Bible. The Bible ends at Revelation. The kingdom of God and the word of God doesn't, right? So if you look at it in that regard, it could very easily be Genesis, Exodus, Portia, right? It could very easily be Romans, Acts, to Kira, First and Second Corinthians and First and Second Claudette, because our stories do just what the stories of the Bible do. They share our experiences and our lessons and our understanding of God and how our faith principles showed up, or how we didn't allow them to show up in our lives, and what were the consequences that we experienced, what was the spiritual chastisement that we had to endure, what happened during those times when we were put over there in the brook of Kerith, right? And so our stories are absolutely testaments to our faith and to our spirit that can then do exactly what the Bible does, that can help us help someone else based on what we've lived out, right? And so I believe that we all have a responsibility to find a way to pour our words out. And there are a lot of ways you can do it. There's poetry, there's novels, there's blogging, there's journaling, and obviously there's plays, there's film. There are a lot of ways that you can pour your words out, but it's critical that you pour them out, because words that are not released begin to choke us, right? they begin to choke us. It's kind of like a child that's being abused, and that child is always told, you be quiet, you keep quiet, you keep quiet. All of that energy and all of that pain and all of that hurt remains in them, and it begins to manifest in not nice ways, right? And so when we don't release those things that are in us so that we can then face them and have a conversation with them, right? And allow ourselves to receive the medicine from them, then the very thing that can heal us can also make us sick. Yes. So that's how you can start. And, be responsible for your words. Be okay with the fact that you can write a whole book. You absolutely can. You can write a whole book and never allow anybody to read it. I have piles of stuff that I've written that were really just opportunities for me to work out some things. There were opportunities for me to allow God to pour into me and to speak to me that I will never share with anybody. That doesn't make the words less powerful. It just means that those words were for me. And there may come a time when those words end up in something that I write for you, right? But either way, your words deserve to be released, and you are absolutely well able to be the one who releases them. Don't allow anybody else to tell your story, because then they can't tell your truth.
That's good. They cannot tell my truth.
No.
Definitely cannot.
They can probably tell part of your story or their version of your story.
And then they're going to get it. Gotcha. And then, they may miss some facts. So let me tell the whole truth.
Right.
The whole truth. But a couple of things that you said, but then again, before I even go there, the way you share is so sobering. It's like, you can do this. You can do this. It's like you gently walk the person through the process.
Yeah.
Now, in your book writing process, now you do help people write their books.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so we just want to make sure we get your contact information for individuals who want to write a book, and we will share it in this video as well as in our comment section, so that people that come back and view it again will be able to see how to contact Claudette Freeman.
Yes.
One of the things you said in the books, talking about it can be a lesson learned for you as well as a lesson learned for other people. Oh, I love that. Some people just put out a book just because they know how to write. But when you think about the essence of a book and the power of the book itself, and then sharing from your heart what's in you, the words, the power of your words, the lesson learned. And the other thing you said, what was it? Medicine in your words. I love that.
Yeah.
We already know
there is, and I think a lot of times we don't really think about that, because so many of us, we experienced writing in school, and so you had to write an essay, and the essay had to be this, that, and the other thing, and so we continue to approach writing from that perspective, and I think that we have to kind of shift that a little bit to understand that words are very intentional. Words were created for a very specific reason. If they were not, there would be no mention of the fact that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God. Right? So if the Word was with God, and God thought of you before you were even born in your mother's womb, that means that there were some very specific words that God put in you and spoke over you.
Specific. Mm-hmm.
Right? And so there are words then that show up in your spirit, that show up in your life, that are very often meant to counteract or correct other stuff that you've been told or other stuff that you've taken on. And that is the stuff that we can then begin to teach.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That is the thing that we can then begin to teach. And words are so powerful that different words will show up at different in different years or at different ages of your life, based on where your life is or where your life is going at that moment. And those words kind of show up as like little little guideposts, right? Or little awakenings, like pay attentions. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can start our children out early, just reading, and then have them to appreciate books and words and descriptive words. We already know our words have power, whether damaging or building up. But when we can teach the children, they can be powerful even as children.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So
I definitely agree. And before I continue with my recap, I think, teaching children to start this early is so powerful because, when you're a child, you speak from the heart. You speak the truth that's raw and just pure. Mm-hmm. So if we could have that would be an amazing thing that I think could change the world. Some things I really like that you said. I just want to recap. Now I know some viewers personally that are going to be watching this, that she is talking to you. So I'm looking at you right now. I'm looking at you. She's talking to you.
You see them, Pierre?
I see them. I see them. She's talking to you. It's time for you to write that story. Write that experience down. It's time for you to share your wisdom. Somebody needs it. So if you were looking for a sign, honey bun, here it is. Hello. And if you know someone that needs to see and hear this, please share this. And I know I say share all the time, but I really mean it. Like, share this broadcast today, because it's so many things that need to be released that have not been. And what are you waiting for? She just gave you, she helps people write, their books, their novels, their experiences, but she just gave you step by step for free. So before, you take her on, and we want you guys to patronize her services, of course, but she just got you a head start. Replay this broadcast, please, and go through these steps and just breathe, relax, and let go. And the words will come to you because they're inside of you, which brings me to my next point that she said, your words are worth being released. A lot of times you think, no one wants to hear your story. No one wants to hear what you have to say. There's something for everyone. Someone is going to benefit from your experiences, what you've been through, the creativity that God's given you. Someone's going to experience and benefit from that, because your words have power. Your words have healing power. And we know that. And you need to speak and write with purpose and intention. Yes. So if you get anything from today, speak with intention, write with intention, and be responsible for your words. Because if you are not, and we don't release those things that are put within us, what does she say? It begins to choke us.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't want that. Let's have life and growth that's, radiating from us so that we can help everyone else, including ourselves. So that's all I'm going to say today. Just speak with intention, write with intention, speak with power, write with power, and don't be afraid to release those things that God's given you. Yeah. He didn't make you go through those things or think these things for nothing. So that's all I'm going to say about that today.
Exactly.
It's wonderful. Claudette, when we go off, would you make sure you put your contact information in our comment section?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Please do that, because I know there are books waiting to be released in our audience. Many people in our audience are waiting to release a book that's already, it's just sitting dormant in them.
Yes.
And if they can release it, it will take them to a whole new dimension in their lives. Right. So we encourage you to get that book written. You heard Takira.
Takira says she's
got to do it.
I'm looking right at you.
We have to do it. So thank you again for sharing that great information. And
thank you for allowing me to. Thank you for allowing me to.
Absolutely. And matter of fact, those that will pivot from this point, let Project 365 know that as a result of this show, You went out and you
did it.
wrote your book. You
Yes.
contacted Claudette and you written your book. So
Yes.
this is what Project 365 is all about. The hope that you can do it, the encouragement that you can do it, and the inspiration that you will do it. All right.
Yes. Yes.
God bless you until we meet again on tomorrow at 1 p.m.